Hey everybody, my name is Dowden, and this is what you're going to learn how to make in this video. Alright, so this is the first video I'm doing of this series. We're going to be just covering the style of ARTBAT, the progressive duo that has been really slamming festivals and clubs in the past little bit before, obviously, the pandemic, but they have been just banging out track after track that has just been in the top 10 of Beatport charts all the time. So this is a really cool style. It's a lot of fun to make, and it's super simple. Let's just go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to grab... First thing I'm going to do is kick and bass. The main element of this, a lot of the ARTBAT tracks, or a lot of these melodic house and techno, or just techno tracks in general, they have a really good foundation of kick and bass. So first things first, kick. And I know I have one in F sharp from my last track that I was working on. I'm just going to drag and drop that in. And I'm going to duplicate that. Cool. I'll get rid of this for now, actually. Okay, so now we just have this kick. Does the trick. It's nice and punchy. We want, for this genre, we want a kick that is going to be punchy, but obviously have that low end as well, just like most kicks that we choose. But if we have it a little bit too muffled out, it's not going to carry with the rhythm of the bass so much. So we want one that's not too snappy, not too punchy in the high end, but just one that's going to kind of blend in with the bass a little bit. So notice this one doesn't have too much high end. It's not too cracky, snappy. So next I'm going to do bass, because it's just the next thing that I'm going to cover, just to get that groove going. I'm going to move the kick to the top and make it dark blue. Okay, next bass. So I'm going to be using Serum for all the patches in this video because I like the way the Serum looks. I think it's really easy to follow. It's really affordable if you want to invest in purchasing Serum. And if you are using Wavetable, it is similar to Wavetable, and you can kind of get a sense if you don't have the synth. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to use like a sawtooth wave. You can use a square wave as well, but I'm just going to use sawtooth with a little bit of filter on it as well. So I'm going to turn the filter on. I'm going to put my low pass. Let's go low pass 18. We're cutting 18. And then envelope 2, I'm going to drag and drop that onto the cutoff. Here it sounds. Then change the decay and sustain all the way down. Cool. And then I'm going to drag this down a few octaves. Cool. Next, I'm going to add the sub, and I'm going to drop that down 2 octaves as well. Okay, I'm going to drop the 3 octaves. Put this to 2 voices. I'm not going to have the detune, though. And I want this in mono. Okay, cool. Let's just keep one voice for now. Next, we can add a 2nd octave and turn the volume really far down. We want to make sure we have our filter on both A and B oscillators. Okay, cool. That's just going to add a little bit more in that 2nd octave. All right, and then let's add a MIDI clip, Control or Command Shift M, new MIDI clip, new MIDI clip, sorry, and then let's draw out our bass line. So a lot of these bass lines are very, they're very groovy, and they're staccato, so they're kind of broken up. Turn this on so we can hear it. One more octave higher. Okay. Let's go to 16th notes. Okay, that sounds like a very ARTBAT bass line. Cool. I want a little bit more release on that. It sounds like it's a bit too dry there. I'm going to turn the filter down as well a little bit. I'm going to go to my envelope 2, take this down a notch. Okay, sounding good. Next, what we can do is add a second octave. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I want this just to be the low end. I want this just to be the sub frequency of that, the bass. So I'll put sub here. This one will just be bass. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off this oscillator for now. We're just going to listen to the first oscillator. I'm going to bring it up an octave and bring this one up an octave. And I'm going to turn the unison on and detune it a bit. So I'm going to put this up to 5. Make sure to turn the drive up on that one. Maybe another. I don't need my sub for this one either. And to the second oscillator on. Cool. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a fifth by adding 7 semitones, and that's going to give us more of a note that sounds a little bit more for the melodic house and techno vibes. So we're going to be in a minor scale. But I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that on the bass just yet. I'm going to do that for our lead, but let's... Actually, you know what? Let's take it off right now. Let's take this off of the bass. We just want this on the bass right now. I'm going to go to the effects, add a little bit of distortion. And I'm going to filter out with a high pass. I'm going to filter out all the low end of the sound. Maybe take the cutoff down a little bit more. And then we're going to add an echo onto it. And we want to make sure that we're not leaving any of the low end in our echo because we don't want to get that phase cancellation. So I'm also going to add an EQ, and I'm going to put it in mid side. Oops. And go to my sides. I'm going to remove the low end. And boost the sides a bit. Okay, and turn the dry wet of this down. Cool, and now let's listen to them together. And with the kick. Cool, so you get the idea now, it's already starting to come along. So we have the most important elements for this ARTBAT style track is just that kick and that bass relationship. I think we still have a little bit too much high end in the sub, so I'm going to turn that down. I'll grab an EQ. A little bit of saturation is good, a little bit of that high end, but we do have that second layer here with a lot of that high end. And then of course we can group these together, which them both blue. And a and I'm going to compress them together. Cool. Next, we can add maybe a pad. So I'm going to go into my serum again, and with a new patch, I have just a sawtooth here. I'm going to turn up that unison to 5 again, and I'm going to really, really detune this at a second octave, a little bit higher, a little bit lower volume, 5 unison, and quite detuned. Cool, we can add a little bit of attack to this, but for now I'm not going to, because I'm just going to have it sitting in this loop here, and I don't want it to keep on rising in with the attack. And I want to make a minor chord, so I'm going to go the F sharp, and I'll do the C sharp on this lower octave here. Turn on the volume, and I'm going to grab a reverb. So I'm going to grab this reverb and really help soften the sound of this a little bit. It's really, really sharp sounding. So I'm going to crank that reverb up. Put a filter on it. Maybe some chorus. Cool. And then I'll grab an EQ and just throw that on the pad as well. That's going to give us a bit of atmosphere. So that's the next thing that we have to start to focus on, is we already have the kick and bass, we have the groove, we need some atmosphere to give it that melodic house and techno vibe, that eerie sort of vibe. Cool. Next, we can dive into a lead sound. So let's go ahead and grab another serum. You guessed it. So for this lead sound, I'm going to do like a pluck with another sawtooth, just to keep it really, really simple for us. And I'm going to add a bit of unison, a little bit of detune. Of course, another filter. Envelope 2. Change the decay and sustain. Make this a little bit longer. Okay, so this one we're actually going to add that fifth. So 7 semitones. And quite a bit of detune, actually. And I'm going to add an LFO onto the actual fine pitch. A little bit of vibrato. And we have this simple lead, nothing too special. Maybe go up an octave. Maybe down an octave. I like it where it is. Okay, this is where the magic comes in that makes it sound really, really nice. And what we're going to do is just simply add in some reverb and delay. So I'll do that with another echo, or I can just do this with, let's go with another echo. Actually, let's go with delay. Oops. I want to go ping pong. Okay, great. So let's listen to the track, and I want to start to write a lead. But say you're not good at writing leads. Say you're not good at staying in key. You don't know your scales very well and things like that. What you can do is grab a MIDI scale, a MIDI effect called scale. So I'm going to search scale, and I'm going to look down here. There's a C minor, F major. I have F sharp minor here. So what I did is I went to the C minor, I drag and drop that on, and then I just changed the bass root note to an F sharp. That's the track. The key of the track that I'm in. So now what happens is every time you play a note on your keyboard, which I have to my left here, I know you can't see it, but on the left I have this keyboard. And when I play these notes, I can show you inside of the piano roll here. When I play these notes, it's going to change them to what they are inside of the scale to match an F sharp minor. So if I play the B and the C, it plays the same note. So if I go maybe to an E, then in an F sharp, but the F is the same as the E. So it's just to make sure that you're always writing in key, in the scale that you want to be writing in. So F sharp minor is what I want to be writing in. And when I play on the keyboard, I can't play a wrong note inside the key, which is really great for writing melodies. So we can go ahead and play. Pretty cool, right? Next, what you can do is add an arpeggio or an arpeggiator, and we're going to add that onto the serum. And this is actually really, really great when they work together. So I'm going to change this to retrigger on the beat, and the beat is going to be 1/8. So now when I play, if I play really, really fast on the keyboard, not sure if you can hear it. Playing really, really fast, it's only going to play on the 8th notes, and it's going to stay quantized with the song. So this is really great for if you have latency issues. So if I play, it's going to be perfectly on time. And one last thing that we can do here is put on our repeats here. So this is going to sound pretty cool. Maybe I'll go to 16ths. Cool. And then we can just start recording. Whoops. I'll put on more repeats. Let's do 3. Let's do 4. Try it again. Sounds all right. Then you can play around with your arpeggio a little bit more, maybe add some steps. Then, of course, if you want to, you can automate this as well, which is really cool. So we'll save that for a little bit later. We'll go up to maybe 2 steps on this second phrase here. And then right here, we can go to let's go all the way to 4. That'll be crazy. Okay, and then let's duplicate this. Actually, no, instead of duplicating it, let's duplicate everything else. And let's record over the second portion here and maybe change up the melody a little bit. Whoops, start from here. Get this as well. Cool. So we listen to the whole thing. Cool. Cool. Not the catchiest melody, but for the sake of time, we're just going to leave that as it is. It is something pretty interesting so far. So I'm going to add a little bit more to this lead. I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting. Let's add an LFO too. I already have it to the fine pitch here. We could add a bit to the pan. Slow that down. And a little bit to the cutoff as well, just a very slight amount. Cool. And I want to detune it even more. I want it to be even more wide sounding. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some white noise to it. I definitely want to put the envelope on there as well. Okay, cool. So now we have a pretty good lead going on. And what we can start to work on next is the drums. So obviously we have our kick and bass and everything good. Let us start with the most simple thing, just a hi-hat. So we go grab a drum bus, or a drum rack, sorry. And let's add the off hat first, because it's just going to be the most grooviest, I think. So let's go the type of hat. What I like to do, and I've done videos on this as well, 2-minute tutorial on this, is I like to grab a bunch of hats and just drop them all into my drum rack and then see what fits best by cycling through them. So let's do... Oops. Where did it go? Here we go. So I actually like that one a lot. We'll keep that one for now. Let's set up a loop here. And then I'm going to cycle through them by going into the actual MIDI information and cycling through. Oops. Okay, so these are actually pretty nice. So I'm going to keep this one. Turn that off. Cool, and then I'm going to add a second little hat here. Turn the velocity down. Cool. That's good like that. I'm going to extract. I like to actually extract my my chains from here. So I'm going to go and open up the chains list. And it's this one here. I'm going to extract chains. And then I'm going to name this one hat 1. I like to keep my hats yellow. And now we have our drum rack again. So I did like some of the other hats in here. And what I'm going to do with these hats is I'm going to make them a little bit more interesting, kind of like shaker groove. But a cool technique is actually adding a few different hats and then kind of messing with them that way. So I'm going to make the minute track a little bit longer. Let's go back to, actually we'll stay at 16ths. Like this one. That one. And that one. Okay. Okay, cool. So these 3 hats. So I'm going to get rid of everything else. So this one can go. And then we can just mess with these a little bit. All right, make this a little longer. Let's hear it in the loop. So the idea is that we're adding these little hats as like accent pieces. Like they're not the main groove. They're kind of just there to complement it. And of course, you can do more things with this. You can pan these differently. You can do let's filter out some high end of it actually. And of course, I'm going to filter some low end as well. And I love the Haas effect, stereo width. Drag that on as well. Oh, that is not the right one. Nice. And one last thing that we can do is add a little bit of delay. Actually, we have a return track here. I'm just going to add it onto there. Actually, no, I'll add it right onto this, just so we can get a real good, strong groove out of this one. And then we can send it for a little bit of reverb. I'm just sending this to the reverb track, so I'm getting a little bit of reverb on it. Actually, I won't use sends because I don't want to confuse anybody. I will use a reverb on the actual channel. Cool. Next, we can do a clap. So I'll do a snare. I like this one, and I'm going to layer up 2 snares together. So I have my drum rack. We'll call this one hat accents. And then we'll do another, and we'll do clap, snare. I like to make my snares orange, hats yellow. Excuse me. Let's get rid of that. Okay, get rid of all this information here. And drag and drop that onto this chain here. And then try and find a nice snare. A nice clap after this. I like that one. We'll go with that one. Okay. And another trick I'm going to show you right now is if I go into the I/O, to the ins and outs, I can actually change this. So it says receive and play F2 and G2. So I'm going to change this one also to F2. And now what's going to happen is both on F2, both these instruments are going to play at the same time. So I'm going to get rid of the processing I have here, the delay and the Haas effect. And let's bring this one over here. Cool. And then I'm going to EQ out some of that clap because I don't like the low end there. And the clap is a little bit too long for me, so I'm going to fade out just a little bit of the tail. Okay, and go into the EQ of the snare, because I do want to layer these together. I want them to fit perfectly. I want the punchiness of the snare the crispiness of that hat. Let's hear them together. Cool, they work well together. And then let's hear how it sounds together. So first without the clap and then with. Whoops. Cool, so that sounds pretty good. I'm trying to think of one more thing that we could add to make this more complete. It would be maybe like an ARP or something that is going to kind of carry the rhythm a little bit further than the bass and the lead. So if we don't have the lead per se, and you want more than just the bass line, let us go to another serum, and I'm going to drag that down to here. And I'm going to do like a nice soft attack ARP. So I'm going to grab my arpeggio again, or my arpeggiator. And I'm going to just play that minor chord again. Okay, and the eighths are fine. Repeat doesn't need to repeat. I'm going to put the retrigger synced onto the beat, so that it stays contact with the track, filter, and this is essentially what I'm going to do. Actually, instead of redoing all this, I'm just going to grab this serum, and I'm going to duplicate it. And then in this one, we have the arpeggio already. We have the C minor scale, which is actually F sharp minor. And we have the delay, so that will save us some time here. And the main thing I'm going to do to make this a different sound and more of a wafty sound is just increase the attack a little bit. So let's listen to how it sounds on its own. Just going to draw this out really quick. Okay, and I'm just no white noise off as well because I don't want the white noise there. And that gives us like a nice wafty ARP. Let's listen to it in the context of the track. A little bit too much attack, so it sounds kind of offbeat. I'm actually going to take off that. I go back to where I was. That sounded really good, and I kind of just messed it up there. So I want to go back to where I was. There we go. And I'm actually going to put this up another note here. I'm going to go up. want to make it a little bit more interesting in the actual melody of things. We're not just going to rely on the same minor chord. I'm going to bring this down. If I get this to work properly. Just need these to line up properly for the arpeggio to work properly, and then we should be done. And then now with the lead. The problem I'm seeing now is that we have a lot in the high end actually. So I'm going to maybe drop this down a full octave and see if that fixes that. There is a lot of high end melody going on with the pads and this. So let's drop this down an octave and see. I'm also going to turn off the fifth there. Okay, so I am seeing that there is a lot of high information going on. We don't necessarily need that for here because it's going to kind of cloud up. This is actually quite a good way to kind of intertwine melodies. So we have this melody. And we also have this melody. So they sit together quite nicely. Again, I would definitely go in with some EQ and make sure that they're not taking up too much of each other's space. Let's do that really quickly. So I have this EQ here. You can see it's at that low end here. All right, let me throw a compressor on this hat here. Just to wrap things up. I want this to be nice. Because it's pretty punchy hat, I'm going to compress it so that it's not so punchy and I get more of that tail end. Duplicate that, and I'm going to put a really hard ratio with a really low attack. Fast attack, rather. Try to take off that last tail end. All right, and what I'm gonna do now is just kind of arrange it just a little bit so that we have just a little bit of a track here, just to give us an idea of how it could be kind of built. And then here. Maybe I'll automate the volume of this a little bit. We have our sub coming in there, that's fine, our bass. Come on, there we go. Almost done here. Gonna automate the cutoff a little bit. Maybe take the kick out here. Make a little breakdown, and then we will be finished. That's fine, actually. And that is pretty much it. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other tracks, genre styles that you want me to cover, definitely comment in the comment section below, and I will do my best to replicate those styles, replicate those genres, and make a video for you. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and if you like this video, give me a thumbs up.